obviously, any funeral in an Aboriginal community has a devastating impact. So whenever there's a death, it's felt right across the community.
The Canibba Township lays claim to the oldest surviving Aboriginal football club in Australia. It's produced a host of stars, none brighter than Brownlow medalist Gavin Wanganeen.
The 1993 Brownlow medalist.
Who led Essendon to a premiership flag in 1993. Today, another flag is at half-mast, as it is, we're told, more often than not.
I did coach Canibba. It was 81, 82. We won the grand final in 82. Very sad to, look back at that side and you can only see at least half of that team still alive today. It's sad. Yeah. General feedback is...
Not all the deaths were due directly to alcohol. Still, Mick Haynes has been spurred into action. He's one of the Indigenous leaders who's been working with the government on a new tool to fight alcohol and gambling abuse, a cashless welfare card.
We don't see this card as being the magic bullet. We see it as a possible circuit breaker in breaking the cycle of alcohol and drug abuse across our communities.
As of this week, working-age residents in the Ceduna region are starting to have their welfare payments split. 20% of the payment will go into their account unrestricted, but 80% will go onto a card like this. Just like any other debit card, it can be used anywhere in Australia.
Could I purchase that?
But it won't work for cash, gambling or alcohol, as demonstrated by the Minister for Human Services.
I'm hoping this won't work, because that's what it's been designed to do, is to not work at the bottle shop. So let me just give this a go.
Yep.
It's declined.
Yep. So you can't do it.
Well, that's good. That's exactly what it's supposed to do.
The card is also linked to the user's mobile phone account.
So the text message has already come through. Transaction $19 was declined due to being at a restricted merchant.
Violence has eased here in recent years, but the number of assaults and incidents of domestic violence are still very high. The government says its most recent data shows people here end up in hospital due to assault at a rate 68 times the national average.
So everybody's got problems, drinking problems. And not only this community, plus there's a lot of communities around town.
But not everyone thinks the card is a good idea.
I reckon it's all bullshit, man. I just can't get things you want out of your money. And
this to me is going back to days. I can remember I used to live out where I was born, 37 k's from here, Canibba Mission. I was 8, 9 years old watching my mother. This is what this basic card reminds me of, going from here, walking 50 yards up to this little building and getting the rations, your flour, sugar and tea leaf. I can remember those days. This for me this is the way we're going backward.
David Pav is one resident who thinks the cashless card won't improve his situation. After working most of his life, he now receives the disability support pension.
I've got chronic lung disease, back's herniated, and it's full of arthritis. And basically, I've done heavy lifting work all my life, most of my life, and yeah, it's paid. I'm paying the toll now.
After losing his good health, he's now being forced to give up his financial freedom as well.
I'm mighty frustrated. I mean, I'm 51 years old. I haven't been told what to do for over 30 years, you know. I'm not a little child. You can look at my finances, you can see I'm responsible, you can go down to the police station and ask to see my police record and you'll find I haven't got one. So I'm not someone who's creating social problems or contributing to the social issues in town either, you know, like it's totally ridiculous.
He concedes the town has a problem with alcohol and gambling, but can't see why he should be penalised for it.
It should be voluntary or it should be targeted. If you turn up at the police station for drunken disorderly or assault or whatever, you're obviously going to go and sit before, something's going to go before a magistrate or a judge. The judge will look at it and he can have a decision as to whether you need to be referred to the card or not. It shouldn't be mandatory for everybody.
That's been tried before, and indeed in this community it's been targeted in the past, but only 67 people got captured, and meanwhile we had over 4,000 people go to the Sobering Up Centre. So clearly it wasn't doing the job.
Walking around Ceduna during the day, it's hard to imagine that this little town has any problems at all. It's beautiful, but it does have problems, and they're very serious. And though there is a reluctance among the locals to hand over control of their finances, at least in part, to the government, there's also an acceptance that the cycle of booze and violence needs to be broken. Both the major parties in Canberra support the cashless card, but the Greens insist it won't work.
This is doomed to fail, and it's a top-down punitive approach that affects virtually anybody on a working age income support.
And Senator Rachel Seward believes the card could also be in breach of human rights laws.
The Joint Parliamentary Human Rights Committee raised a number of concerns: breaching of the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, issues around the lack of proper evaluation and monitoring, the fact that it's not voluntary, are all issues that have been raised in terms of human rights concerns.
Listen, my main concern is the children who aren't being fed, the women who are being bashed, the violence which is occurring in this community because of welfare-fuelled alcohol abuse.
The government is watching this trial and the others closely, with a view to rolling it out further if the evidence and potential for budget savings stacks up. Is there a savings application here as well?
Some people think there is. This is costing us money at the moment. So to put the wraparound services that we require to make this trial as good as it can possibly be, it's unlikely that this trial will produce savings. And I think, again, all of that would have to be tested in terms of a broader application. But there's a potential for a broader application, but we just need to see the results of this trial and see whether or not what we think will happen, which is that people's lives will improve.
We want to see out in that oval there all the younger kids coming up so that this club here can continue for another 100 years.